Brief DVM's coming at you today with kind of a fun project here we did this summer and fall. We installed a electric-free, no-freeze outdoor horse water. And to start with, we had to get a directional boring machine out, and they directionally bored under the ground, and they punched through a hole in the ground that where we want the water. And that hole is about 7 feet down, and they went from that all the way up to the house, about 150 feet. And then they came underneath the basement slab, and they came in within about 2 inches of a 1-foot hole that we had drilled through the basement slab to bring the water line up and hook into the well tank system in the house. It's actually pretty cool how they do this. I put out another video before on directionally boring a water line in for our barn, so you certainly can check that out here above on the above link if you'd like. But again, basically they stand back there and they take these pipes and, they drill under the ground. They come out at the bottom of the hole here, and then they keep punching all the way until they hit the house. And then once they hit the house, they attach basically the water line to the tube, steel tube in the ground, and then they pull it backwards, pulling it from the house all the way out to the water system where we're at here. To us, this is probably the best way of doing it. We want something where we don't have to worry about electricity and shocking the horses. We want something where we don't have to worry about the device that's heating it dying and the water freezing. So basically this is what we did. We covered it up. We don't want any rain to get in it. We found some old tires because we're going to need that according to the directions. We got a whole bunch of gravel because we're going to make kind of a gravel bed to this, kind of like a drain field for the water to go underneath. And then here's the picture of it when we were done drilling that day. There's a pile of dirt. We've tarped off over the top with some plywood and tarping, and we've got the dirt and stuff there, and the tires and the gravel. And then we started focusing on the inside. The inside was kind of a plumbing nightmare at first. We had to get a professional plumber out to kind of change the way the water lines went so that we could move our blue tank and make some room for this water line to come up in the floor. It wasn't too bad of a job, but it cost a couple $100 to get them to do that, and that's fine. Then we jackhammered through the floor and dug out the area there. There's a drain tile there, and then the line came through, and as you can see, we're feeding the water line down it right now. And once the water line reaches all the way out to the hole, we basically stop and we cut this off and we hook it up into our system here where the plumber's made a hookup for us. It really works great. The best way I can describe one of these waters is by their own diagram. This is the diagram that they have online, and it's a great diagram as to how to do it for extreme cold climate. I've found that the Bar A horse water is probably the most reliable one on the market, so that's the one I tend to use, and this is their install diagram for it. But basically, here's how we did it. We have this 7-some foot hole, and my wife jumped in and she's kind of making sure that everything is in good shape and marking a couple spots depth-wise so we know how far to fill it. And you can see our blue water line there. That's what heads to the house and hooks up into the well system in the house, to bring the water out. And what we did is we filled it with gravel, and it's clean gravel for the most part. And what that gravel is going to do is it's going to act like a drain field for the little bit of extra water that's going to come down from this each time the cattle or the horse drink. And, we filled it. This is about a 4.5 by 5 foot square down here, or rectangle, I guess how you want to look at it. And we filled it with gravel to the specs on that previous diagram that we had talked about. And then once we got done with that, then we decided that, we'd poly that to try to keep the dirt from coming in it. And then once we polyed it, we started using the tires. Now, the setup does call for used tires. I had to pull the directions out several times to make sure I did this right. We stacked 2 tires inside of each other and then on top of each other. So we actually have 4 tires here right now to kind of make it, strong enough the way we wanted to set the water on. And what's going to happen is obviously the water is going to drain down into that rock, and it's going to act like a drain field. Then I had some old, 150 foam, and it was pretty crappy, so I decided, I'm going to put that over the top of the poly and try to give it a little bit more of a frost break You can do this. You don't have to do it. It's not really required by the directions, but I wanted to do it anyways. So basically what we did is we just busted up a whole bunch of the foam and we put it over the poly. So right now we've got, I don't know, probably about 16 inches of gravel down there. Then we've got the poly. The water line is sticking up in the tires. We've stacked up the tires and we're putting our, kind of cheap, cheesy foam in there. Once we got done with this, we started trying to figure out where we were going to set the water, kind of talking through it with everybody in the team because it's not the lightest device to set in. And then before we set the water in, we packed it with the gravel and clay that we had dug out originally. So this is what it looks like. I've got the little valve connection on down there right now. You can see where that's at. Really, it's set to set the water on now, and the hole is, I don't know, about 4.5 feet deep. And then this is the water. It's a very nice water. They send it to you. It's pretty much all assembled. We wrapped the water with kind of a blanket of foam. Then we put a steel chunk of culvert around it, and then filled it full of gravel, pea gravel to be honest. And that pea gravel is just going to act again as another barrier against frost and help any moisture go down. And then we wrapped that steel culvert again in foam, and then we buried it. Now granted, it's pretty easy to install this. It's literally two like hose clamps to their little water line down there to the base of the water. And then you basically put your culvert around it, put your foam on it, and start burying it in. The nice thing about a Bar A water is that if you ever want to work with your attachment point where your water is, and you ever want to work with the valve, all you got to do is take the top of this unit off, and the whole thing comes out because it's on a hose that's kind of coiled up down in there. And that's a very nice feature. You don't have to dig out your whole automatic water when it doesn't work to get to the valve at the bottom. So that's another trait that we really like about this company's water. So basically we took the skid steer and we made sure it stayed level, and we filled this baby, filled this hole all the way up. Now granted, it did sink a little bit after a rain or two, so we had to add a little bit more after the first rains, but it's up and it's running and it's working great. So we're very pleased with how this went. And we filled the gravel up over the top of the steel culvert and on the pea gravel a little so that we didn't have that showing, because we really don't want the animals getting into that and making it dirty and damaged. And then the other thing we did is we kept an extra tire or two and we actually put it around it, and that'll keep the animals from beating it up more. And when we actually put the pasture fence in here, I'm actually going to put the pasture fence real close to the one side so that they can't really get all the way around this device. They're really only going to get to the part where the actual water is for them to use. And I think that's going to work out really good. So at this point, we're just filling it again with the skid steer. It took us quite a bit of time to do it. I would say cost-wise, depends how you want to look at this, because of the directional boring and the plumber time, and then the cost to buy the unit, and then the pea gravel, and then getting ourselves a couple tires and stuff. I'd say we probably put about, probably pretty close to $2,500 into this water. But in the long run, when you look at the fact that you don't have electricity bill, you're not replacing heating elements all the time, I think this will be a really good thing. I think this will help a lot. So I'm very pleased with how the whole process went. It unfortunately was kind of a muddy, dirty install day, but it went well. And now what can happen is the animals can come up to this water. It can be 20 below. I'll give you a review of it when it's that cold out. I'll do another video on it. And they can push down on the flapper. Water then from a valve way down at 7 feet is turned on, comes flying up, fills the bowl, the animal can drink, and the minute they let go of the flapper, the water starts draining down into the gravel bed about 7 feet below, and it doesn't freeze up, which is nice. And, what more can you say? I mean, no electricity and constant, nice, cool water in the summer and good, healthy water in the winter that's not froze. Oh, it's excellent. She's just making sure it's level here to the best of her ability. Once she got it as level as it could, and it was kind of time to test it out, You can see we threw some pea gravel around the top part of it here where we're going to put the tire. We cleaned it all up, got all the crap off it. This one does have the optional metal chew guard on the top. That's that metal rim there I'm wiping off with the rag. And then it was time to test it out. Now granted, I had kind of tested it out several times when I'd installed it too to make sure that the valve at the bottom didn't leak, but it works great. You just push it down, it fills up, you let go of it, and it starts draining away, and it drains way down to the bottom at 7 feet into that 4 by 5 foot drain field down there. And then basically the bowl and the water line then stay empty for the distance of about 5-6 feet or whatever it is of tubing in there, and then that allows it not to freeze, which is really, really nice. Like I said, we've seen these in action both for cattle. I've seen them for sheep, and this one's actually made for horses. It should work really well. If you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to check out their website. Barbar A does sell these online, and they've got a really nice website as to how to install and stuff. So here I am. I just took an old truck tire again. We had several of these to set it on, and I cut a slit in it just to get it by it a little bit because the device is just a hair bigger than that tire really wanted to fit. But I put that there so that they don't kick the unit and stuff so much. But here it is. This is a electric-free, no frost, self-water or automatic water for horses. It looks great, folks. I'm really pleased to have it up and running on the farm. Certainly appreciate you watching. Like or subscribe to the channel. We'll keep putting out more great videos like this with your support. Thank you, folks.